Hey, what's up? So this is the bonus one or the second part that's being released on who's still around Wednesday. I don't know who's still here Wednesday. I don't know. Whatever it is after the Super Tuesday, who are the candidates in the Democrat Party who are going to go up and catch that massive L that Donald Trump is going to dish out in the 2020 presidential election? So that's what I'm talking about now. And this is part of a series where I read the post-it notes that were posted on the Union Square subway station after President Donald J. Trump won back in 2016 in November. It was a few days after. I was with some friends and they were like, hey, we're hearing about these post-its, seeing it in the news. I was in New York City. We're like, hey, let's go check out one of them. So we go down, we go up there, we see all these things. I get a post-it note. I post the Trump train to Magaland is for everyone and post that on there. And in this series, I kind of tried to explain to you what I meant by posting that and also just go through what people literally wrote and then think what they figuratively meant by it. Okay, getting into the reading now. So this is part 7 in this series, and as I said, this is part 2 that I'm posting today on Wednesday. If you want, you can check out the one that's before this, the part 6 that's before this. That gives a little more of an intro, just a background on what happened with Super Tuesday and things like that. And I'll just get right into the reading for this one now. This election was a joke. So there is some jokey things about it, and as I've mentioned in the other ones, I'll repeat again here. Part of why I'm doing this now, I had thought about doing this for a while. As I said, this is something I recorded almost 4 years ago now. But it's because I think this actual one is going to be a joke. I was taking this a lot seriously. I was very invested. Not that I'm not invested now, but I was very nervous about if he was going to get in or not. I was one of those people that was actually on the flip side of it, thinking, I'm trying to immigrate to the United States of America. Most of my friends are there. I went to high school, college, lived most of my life in the United States of America. And I was thinking, what kind of country do I want to be a part of? What kind of state do I want to be under? If I am against the state, does it make sense for me to join the country with the biggest state known to man? What are the potentialities? What does me saying I am an American mean? So those are the things I was thinking about. So when this guy comes around, Make America Great Again, first of all, I thought President Donald J. Trump, when he announced, I thought it was more of a joke. I was like, is this guy serious? Is this guy for real? This guy from The Apprentice is actually getting out there. The guy with his name on all these things, you know, the hair and the look and the bombasticness and you're fired. That guy with the pageants and things like this. I never really expected what was going to happen to actually happen. And then that first announcement, oh, he called Mexicans what? Then I go and listen to it myself, and I'm like, wait, when did he say it? I heard it the first time through, and I was like, no, I can't be that. So he might have said something else later. Because what he had mentioned about the people coming across the border, some of them being criminals, and then most of them being good people, in like the same paragraph, just a couple of words after that, it was like, no, that can't be it. Why would the media actually focus on this? And I was like, oh, man, they actually would focus on that. They do think, you know, and it's kind of that one meme with that one black guy from the Niger film or something. What am I, a joke to you? Like, do you think I'm just not going to actually go listen myself and find out what he said and be like, why would you lie about him saying this? But no, most people don't go. Most people, they're still repeating that thing. They're still saying he said that about those people because people just don't want to go and listen to it. Well, anyway, so I thought that was a bit of a joke. And he got in, but he's the president. He won. He actually ended up convincing me that, yeah, I could actually be okay with saying I'm an American, thinking this guy is a president. And I still look and see him being a president, the jokes that he is on the Twitter with a mini mic and all these things. And I'll still have some times where I'll find myself laughing, like, wow, Donald Trump is the president of the United States of America. And it's still funny, but I don't think this person literally meant in that kind of sense. Now, when you talk about voting itself, is voting itself a joke? I think so. I think the actual amount of control that you actually have isn't necessarily that important. I was already in a position I was like, I'm not going to vote ever in any election because I have an idea of what the state is. I said I went to high school. I actually ran for president, for student council president or something with a friend of mine, and it was done not as seriously, but I got a minuscule, I don't want to say it's 1% of what it actually is in the world, although it seems to be a lot of culture, especially in the United States of America, seems to just project from high school on and just repeats itself on maybe a grander scale with more money, with more lives on the what's it called, the things you're risking are higher, but this general structure seems to be kind of the same. The gossip, the cliques, the crews, the positioning, the interaction. It seems to be rather the same. And it makes sense because you're shoving kids through this system. You're grinding them through this system, and then you're popping out widgets that fit into the social system that you want your kids shoveled through the system. And then, of course, they're going to grow up to be adults that have been shoveled through the system. So there's an indoctrination that goes in there. So I was very jaded in the state. And I thought, why are you even voting? What's the point? I had this thing. I was like, oh, if you vote, you have to have thousands of people vote. But then it's like, oh, you go to certain places, and no matter where you vote in certain places, in New York City, it's going to go blue regardless. The southern states are just a given. It's going to go one way or the other. People started talking about the electoral college and things like this. People don't understand this. Oh, I'm a popular vote. I'm like, are you guys joking about that? Don't you know how the system works? Like, it's not the popular vote thing. If they understood it was a popular vote at the start, then people would campaign in an entirely different way. Like, there's reasons Hillary Clinton just decided I'm not going to go to certain states, because she was just confident that these states are in the bag. And many of the states were in the bag. There just happened to be some other states where Donald Trump put more of a ground game into and flipped some people because the people were just out of touch, and they thought, oh, maybe mainstream media, legacy media would be enough for us to carry these. And that didn't necessarily happen. So was the election a joke? I don't think so. I think if people really thought it was a joke, they would take things in a different way. This could just be a literal means figurative, or the way people kind of just say, it's a means of speaking, not necessarily being serious. They don't necessarily take a joke. They're like, oh, gotta be kidding me. Maybe, when something bad happens, someone's like, oh, you've gotta be kidding me. Tell me you're joking. Maybe it's kind of in a hopeful kind of way that way. So do you think the election was a joke? Do you think this person still thinks Donald Trump is a joke after this? I don't know. On to the next one. This World is Sick. I Understand You by Brazilian Girl. Okay, so I'm guessing, I think that says Brazilian Girl. This world is sick. So what world? I look at some of these people and I'm like, compared to what? There's these three sayings, these three economic questions. I have some merchandise also for this by Thomas Sowell. I put them on the shirt because I think it's just an excellent thing. Thomas Sowell is an economist and a philosopher and great thinker, just all around, just a great man. He has these three questions he asks people about economics to supposedly to counter things on the economic left. And I think you can apply these to other things in the world and things like that. And the three questions are: compared to what? What solid proof do you have? And the third is, at what cost? So in this situation, the world is sick. Compared to what? What world are you comparing? What state of the world, what status of the world in the, I guess in the past, because where you're not looking to the future, are you considering when the world was healthy? Are you looking back to the 1960s in the United States of America when people were actually still having colored only? I know that's coming back now. People are saying we need colored only spaces, but that was a situation where, hey, people can't actually eat in this place. You can't sit here. This is colored only fountains. Is that when the world was healthy? You want to look at places in the 1940s, maybe, when the world was going through world wars, when many countries that are countries right now weren't countries, were still colonized by other countries? Is that when the world was healthy? Do you want to go back to the 1800s before the industrial revolutions and things like that, when people were just dying from just basic things? Is that when the world was healthy? The world is the best now than it's ever been. We don't know about the time when human nature, humans in general, the world, what we define as the world, has been healthier than now. What are you depending on? At what cost do you want the world to be healthy? Oh, you're going with this climate change here. That's just another one of those end days type of things that religions have been pushing since the beginning, since we realized that we live and die, and we've had those fears, and we've developed these systems to have these end day Ragnarok, end of times fears. That's what this climate change thing is. It's not as bad as you think. Do you know what trees are mostly made of? What makes trees solid? Carbon dioxide. They're essentially solid air. The trees are doing great right now. The world is not sick. You're not sick. You're not ending. You weren't born with some kind of original sin. You are a healthy human being that can achieve a lot in this world. You have this ability to do stuff. There was a time when you saying the world is sick and posting this in protest. If this is a Brazilian girl, how easy does she think it was to be a Brazilian girl and be living in the United States of America, coming off of a metro station, being able to just post it out there, and having being able to be seen by other people? What world is she comparing to? What cost? What's she missing? What solid proof would she provide to anyone who asked her, what do you mean the world is sick? What evidence would she give? I don't think she'd be able to give that much evidence. And I ask you out there, people who think the world is sick, what do you mean by that? What do you mean? What do you define as a healthy world? And now, if it's sick, how would you diagnose the sickness? What are supposed symptoms of this sickness that you think that have just began somehow? Maybe I understand you. And I imagine, unless she's changed her mindset, she would be somebody who is very against the current Brazilian president, something Bolsonaro. I don't know what his first name is, but he came out. I think he's been. Now this is the thing. he's been called Brazilian Trump or something. They're saying, oh, he's from the far right populist and things like this. Which, with the overturned window of how politics has gone, you don't even know what that means depending on who's saying it. But I doubt she would be happy about the Brazilian president. So maybe she's saying she understands. But then there is something. They also have seen these things in libertarian circles as a big upspring of. It's a small group, but it seems to be somewhat loud upspring of libertarian type of ideas and movements, liberty movement in Brazil and things like that. And Brazil is a massive country. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it has the biggest population of Negroid people. Negroid, I mean sub-Saharan Africans, outside of the United States of America, because we hear a lot about the slavery that occurred in the United States of America, in North America, in the United States of America, former United States of America, in the history of the United States of America. But Brazil was also a major place where they had a lot of slaves. And now there's been a big mix of races and cultures and ideas, and it's a melting pot of sorts of its own over there. So they have a different kind of interesting mix of things out there. So I don't know, maybe she feels there is some understanding because there are some similarities in maybe the demographics and somewhat of the history. And I don't know, so maybe there's some things. So I don't know. I wonder what she would say about the sickness. Does she think the word is sicker today than it was in 2016 when she posted this? Or has she come around? That would be something that I'm interested in finding out if I had the chance to talk to her. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Hillary is Beyonce. Trump is Michelle. Okay, so this one is for those of you who don't know, Beyonce was in Destiny's Child, and I think Destiny's Child to begin with was 4 people. Okay, Beyonce had been performing since she was a kid, but she joined this group, Destiny's Child. I think even that group, since they were in their early teens, was together. And Michelle was, I think, the third member. I think there was a time, I think I remember when they first came out, it was 4 people. It was four at least time young ladies at that time. And then I don't like saying girl. I think girl should be cut off at 21 or something, and then cut off, and you have like young lady, young woman, or something other thing instead of calling people girls when they're like in their 30s and past that. It's weird to me. So anyway, Michelle is. There was the 4 people. One of them left. I remember thinking that one who left was the prettiest when I first found out about them. But anyway, one of them left. Beyonce was clearly the most talented since she was a leader of the group since back then, but they left or something. She left. One of them left. And then I think 2 of them left. Yeah, 2 of them left. And then Michelle joined in once they started really picking up in fame. But they've always said she's the least talented between Beyonce, then Kelly Rowland, and then Michelle. So I guess they're saying Trump is Michelle. But I don't know. So, and this is the thing. For a lot of people, this is just a pop thing. To this person, to me, I think their approach to politics is like that one I talked about. I think it was the first one here. Yeah, to them, I think they approach politics like it's a joke. Because like, what is this comparison? And this also just makes me think about, I think Hillary Clinton did show up at a Jay-Z concert, had Beyonce backing her and things like this. But when it comes to an election like this, Black Americans already just stick to the Democrats, especially Black women. So if you have Beyonce on your side, that's going to appeal mostly to Black women if it's any actual sway in your vote. And you've got those people in your pocket anyway. You've got them on your side of your team anyway. And I just had this observation with the percentage of people the Black Americans that voted for Joe Biden in this last primary compared to other groups that are voting for the Democratic Socialist Bernie Sanders. My question, I'm going to do this in my shorty series and go into deeper, is are Black Americans the only people keeping the Democratic Party from going down on that road to just fully blown being the Communist Democrat Party of the United States of America? Are they the only people stopping them? Okay, so that's it for today. I'm going to try to keep this series going. I've had a few comments on them, had a few people discussing and saying they're liking this series. I'm enjoying doing these and trying to get my interest in it. So definitely hit me up in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think about this. If you have any of these experiences of posting these things, if you have images or videos of these walls and you want to send them to me so maybe I can read some of them because I want to keep this series going all the way to the election. I've got enough. I'm going to be going actually one by one by one, like by one, and actually reading the ones I can actually read. Some of them are blurry, some of them are not. But anyway, so that's it for now. Like, share, and subscribe. Come back later. Hit the notification bell if you want notifications for this series. I'm contemplating kicking this out to a different channel so I can see if it gets more spread. Anyway, that's it for now. Goodbye.